Today we're going to make a dough with a Poolish, which is a pre-ferment resembling a wet sponge. And a pre-ferment is made with equal parts flour, water, and a little bit of yeast. So it's going to be very wet. You mix this up, and once it's fully mixed, you're going to end up putting it off to the side in a container and allowing it to sit or rise for anywhere from 8 to 24 hours. To make your pizza dough, you start off with your dry ingredients, so flour and salt. And then to that, we're going to add a little bit more yeast. And then we want to incorporate the Poolish. We recommend using the water that would normally go in your recipe to place in the container with the Poolish so that it all pours out together well. You then fully incorporate that, first starting off either with a Danish dough whisk or with a scraper. And then you mix it well, allow it to rest for about 15 minutes once it's fully mixed. And then you'll see that it will have relaxed. You can see now it's stretching much easier. The gluten strands are there, and then you can really mix it and knead it by hand. Once it's been properly kneaded, you then place it into a container, cover it up again, and allow it to rest for another 20 minutes or so. After 20 minutes, you'll see that it has relaxed even more. Mix it by hand. If you use this method, it actually incorporates a little bit of air bubbles as well. And then once it's been properly mixed or kneaded, allow it to sit. And you can see after time, it even produces these air bubbles, so you know that it's rising. Cover it up, let it sit for another 20 minutes or so, and you can see it has risen even more. At this point, it's ready to be turned out onto the table, separated into approximately 200-gram dough balls, or at least sections that are then going to get turned into a dough ball. Now, between 2 and 250 is kind of what you're shooting for. This is a doubled up recipe, so it's a lot more dough than what usually you would be looking at for a single recipe, but this is how you would generate that dough ball, put it off to the side, make all of your dough balls, and then those will get placed into one of the stackable dough trays. Make sure you leave some room in between because they are going to rise. So this is the way to be able to store it. If you make more dough balls than necessary, you can always save a couple of them for your next batch to add more complex flavors. This is what they look like the next day after it's gotten up to room temperature. It is a delicious dough, very simple. We used the simple pizza dough recipe, including the Poolish. I hope you enjoy. Give it a shot.